Today we're gonna be getting rid of some more books. That's apparently what I do now. Hey guys, it's Whitney and welcome back to my channel. I'm sorry, I just kind of disappeared for a few months, settling into a new house and all that good stuff, but I have some books that I purged from my library here. I did not film the process, unfortunately, but I figured I would show them to you because why not? I unhaul books all the time. It's something that I've been doing regularly for a while now, and when we moved, I actually unhauled probably 50 to 60 books that I had been keeping and trying to sell. And when they don't sell, I either donate them somewhere or I take them to my local used bookstore for credit. So for about 2 weeks, any of these books that you see here are going to be available to buy on Depop. I usually price them somewhere between $3 to $4 for paperback plus shipping, which I don't charge an outrageous amount for. And hardbacks are typically $5 to $7 depending on how new they are, plus shipping as well. So I'll leave a link to my Depop shop so you guys can go and check that out, or you can message me directly on Twitter if we're friends. So I'm just gonna get started because there's a bunch here. I'm gonna start off with a controversial one, okay? Please don't kill me, because I do still kind of want to read this, but I don't think I'm going to get to it anytime soon. So if I decide to read it, I'll check it out from the library, and if I love it, I will buy a nice hardcover edition for myself, okay? That book is Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. I feel really weird getting rid of this one because it is one of Jesse the Reader's favorite books, and he is who introduced me to Victoria Schwab, who is one of my all-time favorite authors. So that's the only reason I've been hanging on to this for so long. It's been on my shelf for years and I have not picked it up. The next one is Dream a Little Dream by Kirsten Gear. She wrote, I don't know, that time travel series, and this, I don't know, I think I just really liked this cover, but I really don't even remember what this is about. The next one I have is Labyrinth Lost by Zoraida Cordova. I enjoyed it while I read it, but I think I gave it like a 3.5, and I don't plan to continue on with the next book. I think they're companions, but I just don't plan to continue on with it, and I don't ever see myself rereading this one. Next up is another popular one that a lot of people were talking about, and that is The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by Mackenzie Lee. This is the Owl Crate edition, and I don't subscribe to Owl Crate, but I actually traded for it because I was interested in it, and then I read some things that I didn't like about it. Historical fiction is also not really my jam, so I figure that this one is so popular, if I really want another copy, I can get my hands on it, or, you know, borrow it from the library and whatnot. And it does come with a signed book plate, some little card, and a little map. After that, I have Hocus Pocus and the all-new sequel. I was stoked for this when it first came out, and then I just really lost interest in reading the second story. I'm really just afraid it's gonna ruin Hocus Pocus for me, like in general, so I decided I'm not going to. Next, I have this really shiny one called Brainjack by Brian Faulkner. I read this a long time ago. This one is about a hacker. I finished it. I have no idea what it's about anymore. I've been hanging on to it for sentimental reasons, basically, and I never plan to read it to, you know, re-experience the world or anything. So the next one I have is Caraval by Stephanie Garber, and I know everyone and their freaking mother loves this book, okay? I understand. There's just a part of me that bought this because of the hype, and I've had it, I guess, 2 years because the third one's about to come out and I haven't read it. I haven't thought about reading it. Something about it puts me off, even though it has all of the makings to be something that I would really love. So instead of hoarding this, I'm just gonna send it off to someone who will probably enjoy it more than I will, or at least have it be read. Next one is this weird book called Figure Fantasy, the Pop Culture Photography of Daniel Picard. This is basically just like Star Wars and other pop culture things being photographed. Yeah. Anyway, this came in a loot crate. We don't really want it, so we're gonna let it go. Next up, I have Ink by Amanda Sun. I read it. I don't really remember all that much about what happened. At some point in the future, I may read the second and third one, but I just don't feel like I need to hang on to it. Then I have Fell of Dark by Patrick Downs. For some reason, I thought that this was a book told in verse, but it's not, which is fine. But I've lost all interest in reading this after hearing some reviews about it, which I guess I should have looked into first. But, you know, hindsight's 20/20 and all that. Next up, I have Poet Anderson of Nightmares by Tom DeLonge, and technically it's written by Susan Young. I read this, I enjoyed the ride, but at the same time, I just gave it like a 3 stars, and I don't even remember like any of the events except for like the ending of this book. That's it. So I've been hoarding it because of this cover. I really, really love this cover, and I don't want to get rid of it because of the cover, but that's the only reason, and that's a dumb reason. Next up, I have Midwinter Blood by Marcus Sedgwick. This one it's super, super short. I tried it a while back and I just could not get into it, and I've had it ever since. I've had it for years and I just haven't gotten to it, so I feel like it's time to let it go. I feel like that's gonna be me saying that with a lot of things. It's just time to let it go. Next up, I'm unhauling an author. It's just we don't get along, and that is Andrew Smith. I give most of his things 3.5 star rating. This one, 100 Sideways Miles, is the only one that I have given a 4 star to. It is the one that I've liked the most out of all of his works. I read Winger and originally I really liked it. Then, like, thinking back on it, but by then I had already picked up Standoff, so I guess I can share them to you, can't I? 100 Sideways Miles, Winger, Standoff, the Marbury Lens, which is one of the only ones that I am contemplating keeping, this one and the next one, and the Alex Crow. I'm really just afraid that these 2 books are going to be lackluster for me because I really liked the premise of most of the books I read by him, and they fell short. So I may try these in the future, but I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of the physical copies. The next one I have is The Dark World by Kara Lynn Schultz. This is one I bought around the time I first started BookTube, and I was just kind of buying things that looked interesting because I didn't really understand my taste in books very well yet because I was just getting back into reading. I still think if I had read this earlier on, I probably could have liked it. It has like demon hunting and stuff, but I think now I probably wouldn't. I still like demon hunting, but I don't think this one will do it for me. So, and it's been on my shelf for like 4 or 5 years, so she's gonna go. So now we're moving on to some of the adult books. The first one I have is Apocalypse Now Now by Charlie Human. This was a freaking wild ride. There is like this paranormal supernatural porn industry, like I forget what it's called, but it is weird. It is so weird, and that is like I can't tell you things about this book without spoilers, but there's a supernatural like underworld and this main character is a part of it. If you like weird stuff, you'll probably like this. There are just some things that didn't sit right with me, so I gave it like a 3, and it was forgettable for me, but I think for the right person this might really like hit the spot. Also, there aren't really like any graphic like sex scenes or anything, even though there's like a porn industry involved. The next ones I'm getting rid of are Soulless and Changeless by Gail Carriger, and I actually read Soulless. I read it with a friend of mine here on BookTube who no longer does videos or isn't doing them right now. She every now and again she'll pop in. I feel sadness getting rid of these, but at the same time I just haven't had any urges to pick up Changeless, and I don't think I'm ever gonna reread Soulless. It just got a little bit of sentiment attached to it, I think, because my friend Sam actually found it in a charity shop because we wanted to buddy read it, and she sent it to me. So this was one of the first things that a friend on BookTube ever sent to me, and it was a fun time. But yeah, so I'm gonna let these go, help them find a better home than with me. Next up I have Hood by Stephen Lawhead. This is a fantasy retelling of Robin Hood. That's what I know. I just don't have interest in reading a retelling trilogy, so it's gonna go. Next up there is The Map of Time by Felix J. Palma. This is actually like a bestseller, so a lot of people have read this, but it's massive. I think I would still like this, but I don't see myself getting to it anytime soon, like at all. And chances are, since this is such a big series, it may intimidate me out of reading it anyway. So I'm gonna send it off, and if I think about it in the future and I want to read it, I will find a way to read it without buying it. Next up I have Dark Places by Gillian Flynn. I just don't have any interest in this one anymore. That's the end of it. Next I have The Paradise War by Stephen Lawhead. Oh, this is the same guy who wrote the Hood thing. That's funny. I didn't realize that. I don't even know what this is about. I read the synopsis not too long ago either, so that says a lot. It's forgettable, and I just don't have interest. Then I have Final Girls by Riley Sager. This was a book of the month thing when we were doing that. We no longer do that. But this is a thriller, mystery thriller. I don't know. I've heard mediocre things about this, and it's just kind of put me off of it. After that, I have The Summer Dragon by Todd Locke. This has been sitting on my shelf for a long time, and I just haven't even had the urge to pick it up. Keep reading what it's about, and I can never remember, so it's going. Next, I have The Beyonders by Brandon Mull. This author has another series, I think it's Fablehaven, and I think that they're connected, but you don't have to read one before the other, but I got this in a books for trade because I was interested in Brandon Mull's writing. I just don't see myself getting to this really anytime soon. So off it goes to find its way into the hands of someone who will read it. Next, I have The Dreadful Tales of Prosper Redding, which I read and enjoyed. I think I gave it like a 3.5. I just don't feel compelled to keep it. And this is a duology, and I may pick up the second book at some point, but I probably won't buy it. I'll probably just borrow it from the library or somewhere. Yeah, this is gonna go. I know a lot of people are interested in this book and in this author specifically. So I feel kind of bad letting it go, but also I know it will find a home. Next, I've got Witch, The Power of Five. I don't even know how I ended up with this. That's pretty much the end of it. I think this is the second. No, this is the first one. So you'd be in luck. This is the first one if you want to read it. It is the kind that has some of the little graphic novel parts in the back, but it's mostly just regular book. So if you're interested in that, I have it. Next up, I have Teach Yourself German. We don't need this. After that, I have a copy of Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets by J.K. Rowling. This is just an extra paperback copy that I have of this book. Also, I have a hardcover copy with no dust jacket of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. This is also an extra hardcover that does have a dust jacket, so that's why this one's going. Up next, I have Where the Red Fern Grows. I don't actually even know who this is by. Wilson Rawls. I read this in like elementary school, junior high. I've had it forever and I've never reread it. I don't want to reread it, so bye. Next up, I have The Lightning Thief, which is book 1 in the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series. I have never gotten around to it. It is a giant series, so if I want to get to it, I'll probably borrow them from the library. I just don't have any interest in keeping this on my shelf, and I can only hope that it finds its way to a kid around my area who will just like fall in love with this the way that I fell in love with Harry Potter when I was younger. Next up, I have The Misadventures of Edgar and Allan Poe, book 1, The Telltale Start. This is a middle grade. I just thought it was a cute idea. I picked it up for like maybe like $1. I took the sticker off, I don't remember, but like 50 cents, $1. I don't have any interest in it anymore. And finally, the last book that I have is Curiosity House, The Shrunken Head. I read this, I enjoyed it, and I don't have any interest in keeping it. So those are all the books I'm going to be unhauling this round. So like I said, if you are interested in any of them, I'm going to have them up on my Depop for a little while if you want to try and get your hands on them cheap. But that's all I have for you guys today. I just wanted to share that with you and try to get back in the swing of filming videos. This was a pretty, simple, laid back one, and I want to get back in the rhythm of things. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed seeing all the books that I'm getting rid of, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.